Vickers is back from his convalescence vacation. And of course, as soon as I finish my Welcome Back podcast, news pops that Tua got his 5th-year option. Figures. Guess I shouldn't complain, though. It's plenty of news for me to cover. Makes it kind of easy. So this one's going to be a quicker addendum to the longer one. I'm going to put this one out first, even though I recorded it second, because it's the bigger news. It's huge news. It's key news. And it's going to be the last big news before we go into this free agency period, which is going to be massive for the Miami Dolphins. So I'll do this one first, put it out first, and the next one will come out after that. So if you watch the next one and I'm not talking about his 5th-year option, it will be here. Savvy? Anyway, guys, I'm glad to be back. I'm going to cover Tua here, so that makes it a little dangerous if you want to cover him fairly. I personally didn't want the Dolphins to take the 5th-year option, and it had nothing to do with the kid's play. In fact, I had said if he's healthy through the season, we should just sign him to a long-term deal because the kid could play. We all know that. I'm not saying he's Mahomes or anything, but this is clearly the best quarterback from a play standpoint that we've had since Dan Marino, and it's hard to come by them. We should know that. So if this kid can stay healthy, then you know what? Sign him to long-term. I like the Ravens. The Ravens are one of the best franchises in the league. Lamar is a more proven star talent, and the Ravens weren't bashful about putting a non-exclusive franchise tag him. You can lock him in. You don't need the 5th-year option to lock him in. And in truth, the 5th-year option gives you that cheapish year, but then it's like a rent, And so I wanted the Dolphins to let it ride. Kid stays healthy. And that's not all about him. We got to remember that whatever happens with his health, that's going to be tied into McDaniel changing some of his strategies. It's going to be tied into Greer bringing in some better talent. And it's going to be definitely tied into this whole team figuring out we need to run the football. So if Tua stays healthy, I thought they could just go and sign him long term. And if there's any negotiations needed, you put the non-exclusive tag on, see what his value is. And really, you could see right now, Lamar with the injury history and a little concerns about, where does he fit? What team does he fit? They're not knocking the door down to get him. And so Tua certainly would have been able to be retained. But that's not the way they went. And that's kind of cool for some reason, or for a few reasons, but from a cap reason, for one reason. It might allow the Dolphins some maneuverability because it would have been 32, only $9 million more, but still $9 million. And if they wanted to go non-exclusive, it would have been 45-ish or something like that. Now, you're going to get Wilkins this year with all the money you move from Chubb and Tehran, my man Tehran, and Hill. So you're going to get Wilkins, but then maybe next year, with this cheapest deal on Tua, you can somehow fit Sealer in long term. So from a cap standpoint of that one, because he's going to be the big guy to sign at the end of the season. So it'll be interesting if we can keep him for 24. Maybe somehow we can tag him. So that will be really interesting on that. So that might have been a reason for them to put the 5th-year option so they could actually tag Sealer and keep this window open for 23 and 24. 25 is going to be a wake-up call when it comes to the cap. So I hear all the time, the cap is nothing, it doesn't exist. People who say that, I don't know what that. If that's the truth, they should go to the Rams and help them out fix that cap and tell them they're crazy. And they should go to the Titans and tell them, oh, they're crazy. And they should go to the Bills and tell them they're crazy. And then, they should be going to the Jets right now who are cutting everybody and their mother to get Rodgers on the team because the cap is real. It's flexible, but it's not. It has locale. It's not totally fictitious. So 25 will be the year where Fin fans will finally say, oh, there is a cap, like we said a couple of years ago. But the great news is Tua will lead us in the crucial 23 and 24 season. We're going to have cap space through the 23 and 24 season. We'll be able to keep most of the talent and add talent with 2 drafts minus Sands, the 1 first-round pick. So we have a real opportunity 23 and 24, and we know Tua and Skyler are going to be the guys to lead us. I hear talk about, let's find a backup quarterback. Skyler's the guy. Let Skyler be the backup quarterback. He did good enough last year. Let him be the backup quarterback. He's cheap. We can use the money. Let's rely on Tua. But hopefully, Tua gets some things he needs. You can't run the vast amount of play action like we like to run and not have a run game. We need to get some depth on this offensive line. We need to have actual protection and stop this go deep baby all day. Stop running RPOs and play action like nobody's business, but having no effective ground game. Because if we can adjust that, just think if we can adjust that, how much pressure it will take off the kid, how many times he's going to be out of that lottery to get injured. And then you'll allow this kid to use his greatest gift of the quick release on legitimate play action. You'll allow this kid not to be under heavy pressure consistently. You'll bring balance like he had in college. And if that's the case, this kid will do really, really well for us. It's just about keeping him healthy. And so I'm concerned because I don't know if McDaniel is going to be hard-headed and still go, 12 point whatever yards, intended air yards. I don't know if he's going to do that. I don't know if we're going to bring in legitimate tight ends to help block. I don't know if we're going to have a legitimate offensive line to run block. And I don't know if we're going to stay healthy along the front. But if we can, I think Tua is going to make good. I think Tua will do well this season if we can just create a better framework for the kid. Kid's got talent, guys. I don't understand the Tua thing. Dan Marino, in his last couple of years, everybody kind of loved Dan, but there was a stark difference from the one side that said, he's got to move on. He's too old. He's done. And then the other side is like, he can come out one arm, one eye, and one leg, and he can get it done. I was on that side. But this time, it is so stark. The one side say something good about him, and you don't know football, and you're doing on. And then the other side, if you say one thing bad about him, you hate him, you want to get the kid out of here. I think the middle is where you got to go. He's got a bunch of skill sets that are really good. He's got some weaknesses in his skill sets, and attaching the two is the injury history, which is clear. And the injury history is the only concern I have. But we can mitigate that with better framework, with smarter strategy, better play calls, and some more depth and talent on the offensive line and tight end position. So this is great news, guys. We're certain, in a sense, what we got. If you're a Tua hater or you don't really believe in him, because there's people who don't believe him that don't hate him, you're going to get Tua 23 and 24 at peak talent of this team. And you'll be able to see what this kid's really about. And then you got the people who are some people just really, really like him, and then there's the people who are fanatics. You're going to get Tua with peak talent for 2 more years. So this year and next year is what it is. The team is as we see it now, and it's probably going to be mostly retained with an injection of talent from 2 drafts, sans the 1 pick from Ross, and 2 free agencies. So we will get to see exactly what we have. And let's all hope, whoever you are, whatever side you are, that Tua succeeds, that McDaniel succeeds, that this Dolphins team succeeds. It would be a sorrowful thing if Tua gets hurt, if this team fails, and if we have to move on from McDaniel. Just think how bad that would be. But let's be hopeful. This is a truly hopeful season. We know who the quarterback is. Let's just pray the kid stays healthy, and this group of staff and brass up in the regime, up in the GM's department and the scouting department, do everything they can to keep him healthy, because if they do, the kid will make good on his contract. Anyway, guys, Curtis saying this is at least clarity. We know what direction we're heading. Let's get ready to see what happens when we get there. Curtis saying, catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with AceBread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.